Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me at the back? Fantastic, thank you. Okay, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 2018 Athletics Northern Ireland Coaching Conference. My name's Jackie Newton. I know most of you, I think. Those of you who don't know me, I'm the Director of Coaching and Athlete Development, and I'm going to be making the introductions and just talking a little bit to start with about what we've come here for today, really. There's likely to be quite a few more people joining us. We had our awards evening last night. It was a late night. It was a great night, and there may be a few people that have missed their alarms this morning. So we'll forgive them if they walk in during the talks today. But I'm really pleased to bring you all together today. We've lined up world-class speakers for this conference. It's going to be a really exciting day. All the speakers that are coming in to talk to us are extremely knowledgeable and very entertaining. So we are going to have a great day. We've come here to talk about coaching excellence. Okay. Here's a few that were at the awards ceremony last night. The alarms might have gone off a bit too early for them, so just let you guys settle in. We've come to talk about excellence. We've come to talk about coaching excellence. And the reason that we've asked the speakers that we've got today to come and talk to us is we believe that they can help us to start to really think about that and maybe try to uncover what it actually is to be an excellent coach. And I believe that everybody, all the coaches in the room here with us today, that's what you're here for. That's what you're aspiring to be. You're aspiring to be an excellent coach. Okay, so what is coaching excellence? Well, over the last sort of 20 years, there's been a real sort of upsurge in the amount of research into coaching studies and coaching science. Lots of people been looking into this subject. And in the early days, a lot of what came out in publications were kind of models for coaching or models of coaching, really quite simplistic. Well, what does a coach do? A coach plans, a coach delivers, and then a coach reviews. I think every single one of us coaches in the room today, we know it's not as simple as that. Coaching is extremely complex, quite messy at times. We're not dealing with machines, we're not dealing with robots, we're dealing with human beings. We're dealing with human beings who have feelings, who sometimes are happy, sometimes are sad, human beings who grow, human beings who learn, human beings who change. So the process is extremely fluid. It really isn't as simple as I'm going to plan something, I'm going to do it, then I'm going to review it, and I'm going to do it all over again. It's much more complicated than that. And more recently, the research has started to acknowledge that and started to look at the types of skills, well, the knowledge that we need as coaches, the skills, but also the behaviours that we need to have as a coach. And so this paper that I was looking at recently, I think kind of summed it up. We need professional knowledge. We do need to know our events. We need to know the sport. We need to understand how people learn, the pedagogical side of it. We need to understand about technical aspects of our sport. So we need that kind of professional knowledge, but we also need the interpersonal knowledge. And what is interpersonal knowledge? Well, that is about how we relate to other people. So it's building that coach-athlete relationship. It's working with the other members of our team, whether that's physiotherapists or physiologists or sports medicine, nutritionists, etc. So it's working in that greater team. What else have I put down here for interpersonal knowledge? Yeah, being able to perceive and respond to moods, to characteristics, intentions. So it's not just about communication in words, it's about reading how people are perceiving us, etc. That might be mine, although it doesn't sound like my ring, but anyway. So interpersonal knowledge, very, very important, but also intrapersonal knowledge. So looking back at ourselves, looking in at ourselves and reflecting on me as a coach, how did I do? How am I doing? Taking the time to look back and look at what worked, what didn't work. How did I react to that situation? Why did I react that way? Could I have reacted differently? What have I done in the past that's made me think that way? Can I look at it from a different angle? How is my athlete seeing that? How is the service provider that I'm working with, how are they seeing that? So that's the interpersonal side of it. So we believe that we've brought together people today to come to speak to us, but also all of you as well who have these experiences. And what we hope today is that you will chat to each other in the breaks, and we'll get interactive in the sessions as well, and we'll talk about all of this, and we'll start to also reflect a little bit on our own coaching practice. So I've broken this down really into the knowledge that we hope to get from today, the skill that we hope to develop, and also thinking about our own coaching behaviours. So we have got sessions on injury prevention. Simon Harland is with us today, so he's going to bring new knowledge to us in that area. Applied physiology, Ricky McCann is going to come and talk to us about that, and Jared Deacon's coming to talk to us about training for 400 metres. These speakers who are here today are going to cross over all of these, by the way. We've not just pigeonholed them into you're going to do knowledge, you're going to do skills, and you're going to do behaviours. They'll cross over. So the coaching skill, the communication, well, Fuz Khan that's going to be the keynote to begin with today. We're going to start thinking about how we communicate, what we communicate, etc. Jared will talk about periodisation and planning, and everybody really will talk about working within a wider team. And then thinking about our own coaching behaviours, all the speakers will bring that to the table as well. Simon, we worked with out at the Commonwealth Games this year, and we learnt a lot. We took time, and I'll talk about that in a couple of slides' time, or maybe the next slide, about what we learned from the Commonwealth Games experience and being out there with the athletes, with the coaches, and with the service providers as well. So today, I hope that we will have time to reflect in between the sessions and also during the sessions as well. But before we go on to more about today, I'd like to first of all just do a little bit of reflection on what's happened since the last time we were at the coaching conference this time last year. And this was the big thing. I don't know whether you remember, those of you who were here last year, but we looked at the athlete development pathway in great detail, and we will come back to that in a little while. But we looked at why are we doing all these things? What is our vision? And one of our key ambitions was to get more athletes to major games, more Northern Ireland athletes to major games. And the Commonwealth Games this year, we had 13 athletes on that team, which was the biggest team for athletics that we've had for an overseas competition. So we're on our way. We're still working towards those ambitions. Those of you that were at the awards ceremony last night, you'll have to forgive me a little bit. I am going to repeat now a little bit of what was said there about the Commonwealth Games, but we are so proud of the fact that we had this number of athletes on the team to begin with, and then we came back with 5 top 8 positions, one of which was a bronze medal, a fantastic bronze medal from Leon Reid in the 200 metres. It was the first medal we'd had since 1990, and it was the second best Commonwealth Games ever. I think last year when I stood here, I said we're aiming for the best Commonwealth Games ever. We aimed for the stars and we reached the moon. We got the second best ever. The athletes and the coaches deserve huge congratulations for the achievements that were made at that Commonwealth Games. Back in December, we ran our first preparation camp, and we took the team, the athletes and some of the coaches to Tenerife. And whilst we were there, we sat down together and we agreed our roles and responsibilities for coaches, athletes and team managers for the Commonwealth Games. Every member of that team took their responsibilities very seriously, and every athlete worked towards the goal, and the goal was to arrive at their event in their best possible physical shape with a mindset to perform at their very best. After that, we had 2 further preparation camps, and we also had a holding camp at the Royal Pines Hotel on the Gold Coast, where we continued to work together. and we worked hard to make sure no stone was left unturned. We're very grateful to the Sport Northern Ireland Sporting Winners Funding, which helped us with all of those camps and helped us to be able to prepare in the way that we did. And also to the board, the Athletics Northern Ireland board, who also supported that camp, put a lot of financial backing, but also encouragement into that camp as well. I'd like to sincerely thank the coaches and athletes for their exemplary attitudes and determination, the service providers for their support, insight and commitment, and the Athletics Northern Ireland staff for their drive and professionalism. Those camps really paid off, and the determination, like I say, and the commitment from the athletes and coaches, they arrived at their events in their best physical shape with that mindset to do their very best. See what else I had to say about that. So of course today is about, as we looked at before, about the intrapersonal skills, about reflecting and learning from that. So once we got back from the games, we did a thorough review of the games. The athletes all contributed to that review, the service providers, the coaches and the staff. Now, I'm not going to go into all the detail. It's a huge document, so I'm not going to go into all the detail. But what did we come away from that review saying we would do? Well, what we said we would do, two key things really that relate to today's theme. Continue to drive the culture of excellence, where coaches, athletes and staff have clear roles and responsibilities and are accountable for outcomes. That's the first one. And the second one, that we should continue to develop coaches that are capable of taking athletes to the Commonwealth level and beyond with the skills required to ensure performance at that level. And so again, going back to our theme for today, we're aspiring to coaching excellence. This conference is aimed at helping all of us as coaches to become better and to continue on that journey towards being excellent coaches. And we will continue to do that, and we'll work hard to support everybody in that. Last night we also celebrated the success of the 2017 Commonwealth Youth Games, which was our best ever. 2 gold medals came back from those games, a record, a Commonwealth Youth Games record, and top 10 performances too. From the athletes Summer Leckie, Coach Niall Wilkinson, Aaron Sexton, Coach Roger Sexton, Davisha Patterson, who was coached by Paul McGee, and Anna McCauley, coached by Maureen McCauley. We also reflected last night on the fact that we are becoming increasingly more and more successful at major games in international selects as well. We had, like I said before, we have more athletes on that Commonwealth Games team than we previously had at an overseas competition. And we also had more athletes at the European Championships this year than we have previously had. So we went through all of the awards last night, so I won't repeat them again today because many of you were there and they're there on the screen for you. But we are really proud of the fact that progress is being made and we're starting to achieve those results. And how is that happening? Well, we feel that a more strategic approach and greater investment and support into talent athletes and their coaches is contributing to this. And we are going to continue to support coaches of talented athletes with the aim of transitioning our talented juniors into senior athletes. And Laura will talk a little bit more about that later on. Laura or Tom, I can't remember who's going to talk about that later. But that is our vision, that we will transition those talent athletes through to senior athletes. And that is the job of the coaches, because you are the guys and the girls who are working with those athletes. So I said I'd come back to the athlete development pathway, which we launched last year at this conference. The first point to make really on this athlete development pathway is that the athletes that are on this pathway are all your athletes. The majority of athletes that are working through this are being coached by you. So this athlete development pathway needs to be a shared pathway. It needs to be something that we all understand and are working with and are contributing to as well, and that is the big thing here. As I said earlier about reflecting and reviewing, we have at the end of the year, this year, we also reviewed our athlete development pathway. We looked at what was going well, and we also looked at what we could be doing better. So moving forward now, we have got several initiatives, or several expansions, if you like, of things that we are now doing with the athlete development pathway. I'm going to start at the grassroots, at the fundamentals and foundation level there. So we spent, since we've done our review, we spent a lot of hours writing new curriculum for some of the initiatives that are part of the fundamentals and the foundation level. So we've got a new curriculum for the Flavens Junior Cross Country Squad and a new system, a new way of working with that. We've got a new curriculum for Panthers and Elks that are here at the university here. Those are our, what we're trying to do with those is we're trying to make them models of best practice. And we're also rolling out the Rising Stars programme more as well. Also the PARA programme, the Parallel Success programme, curriculum is being written for that, and we're restructuring slightly there as well. What we what we really want to do with these is we want to make them a model of best practice, and we want to be able to share that knowledge and share that practice and share those ideas with the greater coaching community, and have that real link up. So be out with you guys more, be looking at what you're doing as well, taking ideas from you and working together, and that's what this is all about. So if I then move up into the event group, at the event group level, I probably talked last year, I think, about the event squads, and we were having squad days several times through the autumn and winter period with each of the event groups. We're expanding that now, and what we're offering now is weekly technical development sessions for athletes that are coming out of the foundation stage into the event group stage. So this is for athletes and coaches. And these are a weekly event. So we've got Adam McMullen working on the horizontal jumps. Amy Foster is coming to work on speed. Laura Kerr is doing javelin and shot. Jim Alexander's doing pole vault. And Alistair Woods is providing support for endurance coaches on the physical preparation side, and had some lovely feedback actually last night on how that is going. So that's going well. So if you want to know more about that, speak to one of us today and we'll talk to you about that. But the idea for that, again, is to just bring that new knowledge, extra knowledge into those event groups and support each other as we all work to become more excellent than we already are. And then at the top end, well, we've changed the model at the top end as well. What we're doing now with the Commonwealth and Podium Potential athletes is we are aligning much more closely with our targets. So looking at what the targets for the sport are, what are the sport targets, which is where we rely on funding to bring the funding in to be able to do all of this. We need to have targets that need to be met. So we're now talking to athletes and coaches about how are your targets aligned with the targets that we need to achieve, and to be able to achieve those targets, what support do you need, what services do you need, how do you need things to work, and we want to be able to help you the coaches, to be able to provide that extra support to the athletes to get them there. So plans are sent in, so this happens before, we agree, and then we go off and we put the plans into place, and then we review, etc. Previously, things have been done a little bit retrospectively. We'd sort of look back at who's done what, and then put support in place for who had done what. We're now looking at more at potential. What is the potential, and how can we support that potential and bring that through. I think I've said everything that I wanted to say there, so I think I'm going to hand over to Laura now. Laura Kerr, she's our coach development lead and also physical preparation lead. So I'll hand over to Laura and we'll continue on from there. Thank you.
Okay, so over the last 4 years, I think we've seen a changing landscape for coach development as well as for athlete development, and we've wanted to make sure that our coach development opportunities can align with the pathway that you've just seen. So we've worked to modernise what we offer. We've tried to make it more social, more interactive, We've wanted to make resources available online. I really wanted to move with the times and with the changing pathway. So I hope we're offering a greater range of resources now. On the right hand side of this slide, so we talk about what we want a coach to be and what we want a coach to be doing. So we want them to be learning on the job, okay, so through applied practice, not just in the classroom. We want them regularly exposed to examples of best practice. That may be at squads, it may be with a mentor coach, it may be at a world-class conference. We want coaches to feel that they're part of a community of practice. So hopefully you've noticed when you come to our event group workshops, we try to spend the time on coach discussions. We try to make sure that there's facilitated learning over lunch. We want it to be peer-to-peer learning, okay, and not just from the front of the classroom. So we want you to feel that you are part of a network with your peers and with your fellow event group coaches. We also want you to be accessing facilitated learning opportunities. So we do bring in those elite coaches. We want to make sure that we facilitate you to work with your own athletes under the guidance of that coach, and that you can gain more confidence in analysing your own athlete in a non-judgmental way. Okay. So what we offer, so we continue obviously to offer our qualifications, and there are some changes to that. And you'll see if you're working with any young coaches or coaches coming through this year, there's a slight change to our main qualification, our British Athletics coach. Day 3 will be much more event group based now, and coaches will specialise into the event group a little bit earlier, and that will allow them to become part of that network sooner within Northern Ireland. We continue to offer our mentoring and apprenticeships. So as you know, there are apprenticeships associated with every Rising Stars programme, and we have mentor coaches leading them as those apprentices come through. And I think we've probably had 30 apprentices now come through those 8 regions that we work in. We continue to have apprenticeships as well with our youth academy, and it's great to see probably 6 to 8 coaches regularly attending in the gym with us during those youth academy sessions. We've got our online opportunities, so as well as British Athletics Event Group, we also have tried to create our own online resources. So hopefully you're aware of NI Futures, hopefully you're using it. Certainly all of last year's conference material is on there. All of this year's conference material will go on. But as well as that, we do tend to use the video library as well. So we create short segments. For example, some of Simon's work that he'll do today around foot and ankle preparation, injury prevention, we'll be putting up short segments of videos on there that you can download, access in your own time, and we want that to be all free of charge and available to anyone. So it's not locked down by passwords. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to sign up to anything. So we're just trying to get as much good knowledge and quality assured information out there as we can. Obviously, applied coaching practice then at the talent and performance level. We've had our 3 Commonwealth Games camp last year in Tenerife and also in Portugal with the endurance, and we've been really pleased to have the coaches along there, and that's an important part of them working with their athlete, but learning to work with the service providers and with the greater team and experience what they'll need to experience as they go forward into championships, and we'll have to work within that team. As well as that, so we're going to mention Erasmus later, but it was brilliant to have. I think we had 10 talent coaches out with us in Portugal, all working specifically with their own athletes, and some of them sharing expertise with other athletes from the Youth Academy. That was last year, and we look forward to that again for 2019, Easter 2019, and should be able to support a greater number of coaches as well. We continue to produce our own bespoke kind of workshops. So these are workshops that we've produced and written, and they sit alongside our qualifications. So we have our own way of delivering Athletics 365. We've created our own physical preparation workshops as well. I'm going to talk more on the Elite Coach Development Programme on the next slide, actually. So for this year, we're going to launch an Elite Coach Development Programme. I hope to have information out and invitations out within the next couple of weeks. We're still kind of tying down some of the speakers. The idea is that we'll have 8 modules that will deliver across the period of about 8 months. So it should take us into just prior to the next summer track and field season. And we see the modules sitting at the core of this as being those that relate to more the coach as a person and the coach as an individual. So looking at your own coaching philosophy and building relationships, okay? So those key skills that we need as a person before we can start to layer around that the technical information. So first couple of modules around building relationships and coaching philosophy. And then around that, we've been able to bring in, these are some of the speakers that are either confirmed or that we're talking to at the moment that have said they'll deliver on that. So people like Jonas, who's joined us previously at the conference, will work with coaches on their philosophy specifically. Paul, Sharon and Alan Rankin are going to do something for us on female athlete health specifically. I think that's an area we haven't had something for a while and we can benefit from. Stephen Maguire has obviously had great experience across in the US. He's guided Jason Smith to a lot of success. He's now moved from Scottish athletics, British athletics and back, and he's leading strategically there. I think Stephen can really bring something around building relationships, about developing coaches and just building relationships with funders as well. I think he's now got a wealth of experience, so we look forward to having him back in Northern Ireland. David Lucini is going to talk to us about strength and conditioning, but not just the science of strength training. We want him to really talk about how can a coach effectively work with a strength and conditioning coach or team. Okay, so that might be in the institute. But what are some of the terminologies you're going to need to know to work effectively? Because we don't want an athlete to move into an institute, for example, and to just have that looked after by the strength and conditioning coach and not led by the track and field coach. Okay, so we see the performance relationship as being very much driven and led by the coach and athlete at the centre of it. So we want the coach to be working with all of these types of service providers as effectively as they can. So we want to launch this within about 2 weeks from now. We're going to go out to Podium Potential and Commonwealth Potential by invitation first of all, and then we'll fill. There will be limited spaces, but we'll fill then from the talent coaches as well. So the final thing I want to do is just have a quick discussion on our talent development and what our vision for that is and how we support the next generation, because that very much aligns with our coach development as well. Those that were there last night will have heard a lot of this, but this is our vision. So as Jackie said, we've had growing success from our youth athletes. Obviously, with our Commonwealth Youth Games team, 2 gold medals and a record. We had 4 Northern Ireland athletes at the World Juniors. Obviously, Megan Mars, Eve Walsh-Dan made their senior debut for Great Britain, and we also had Devisha Patterson and Craig making their Irish senior debut for Ireland this year as well. So we're really proud of them, but we want to remember what is our vision for taking this forward, and we can't rest on that success. So when Tom and I established the Youth Academy about 4 years ago now, our vision was that we could shape the environment for youth athletes in Northern Ireland to fulfil the potential that they had. We wanted to do that by supporting talent coaches. We wanted to raise the level of physical preparedness, and ultimately we wanted to have the most robust and prepared young athletes in the UK. We also wanted them to have the mindset that would allow them to excel physically, focused ultimately on a career where they would have senior success. So youth success is great, but ultimately we want athletes that have their eye on the future, on their long-term athlete development. I think we've seen a change in culture in Northern Ireland. I think we're more open to sharing now. I think we see coaches working together a little bit better. We want to continue to see more of that, and hopefully the event group squads and even the weekly sessions can do that. Those sessions aren't about athletes coming to be coached by the staff that were on the screen there. Those staff will be the facilitators. We want to see the coaches come to work together in that community of practice and have a shared squad where everyone can contribute to it. We did a significant investment from Erasmus in 2017, and we're really pleased the investment has grown. We're going to be able to support at least 30 athletes, I think, going forward in April, and a minimum of 10 coaches. So we're really excited for that, and I think that will allow us, I think, to bring all of those athletes together in the environment, let them enjoy the social aspects of their sport as well, hopefully get some really good training done and focus on the championships that are to come. And it allows us to try to replicate that type of village environment that they might experience at a youth games, for example. The other thing that we feel really passionately about is preparing athletes to be able to succeed in any performance environment in the world. And that might be a UK university, it might be the NCAA, or it might be an Irish university. We think that coaches should be ready to prepare their athletes to go to whatever environment is right for them. And sometimes that will be in Northern Ireland, and we've seen Connell Kirk, for example, Craig Newell really excel in their environments this year here in Northern Ireland. But equally we've seen Dempsey McGuigan come out of Old Mississippi, and it's shown that for his event, the NCAA has been right for him. So there will be different environments for different people, and I think coaches should be ready to prepare their athletes. And we're not trying to hang on to athletes in Northern Ireland at all costs. We're appreciating that a Northern Ireland athlete can be in an environment anywhere in the world. They'll remain a Northern Ireland athlete, and we can be proud of their success. So as we move forward, just into 2018, 2019, we're going to continue to support our coaches and athletes. We look forward to Erasmus. We look forward to rolling out our development programme for coaches. And I think ultimately our aim is that we can just shape the environment so that no talent is wasted. We want everyone to have an opportunity to fill the talent that they have, and that includes coaches. Tom's just going to chat to us a little bit more on the performance side.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I'm not going to do that, make him repeat it. So for those of you who were at the awards last night, I'm not going to repeat my speech, especially as I don't want to keep you from FuzzCan's keynote that's coming up. I've got 4 main points really to bring across, and yeah, the first point really is the last 4 years have been fantastic, and I know we're right in the middle of an Olympic cycle, but for us in Northern Ireland, it's hard not to see things in the Commonwealth cycle. And it's also when Laura and I started working together and kind of established this youth academy and focus on youth development. We've kind of come 4 years through that, and it's been a really successful cycle. We're kind of 4 years out from Birmingham 2022, and it's kind of time to kick on in that sense. Some fantastic performances at the top level and senior level been going on consistently, but there's a lot of very impressive youth coming through. And it's how this youth go from junior to senior that is the key, that transition, and that's the next focus for us. It's an excellent season coming up. You can see some of the championships there in the 2018-2019 season, and a lot of our athletes will be targeting those championships, and ultimately, top right, it's all leading towards Tokyo 2020. It's that 1 year before, which is absolutely crucial. Another big focus for us this year will be centralised training camps for Commonwealth potential and podium potential athletes. It's something I think has worked really well in the build up to Gold Coast and Youth Commonwealth Games in 2017. Having as many of our athletes, it's just a small country, if we can get all our athletes together, there's just that little bit of boost of team morale, belief, and I think transfer of performance behaviours. And that's worked really well over the last year, so it's going to be a focus going forwards. We're going to have centralised camps in January, April, May, and in the build up to the late season that it's going to be with World Champs in October and the World Para Champs in November. Way over a year away. It's pretty crazy. Hands up, anyone who wasn't here last night. If this makes any sense to you whatsoever. No. It's a minefield. It's the new IAAF ranking system, and it'll be the qualifications for World Championships and Olympic Championships going forward, Olympic Games going forward. Essentially what it is that you get, we all know what IAAF points are. So for example, it's something like 11.9 in the 100 is about 1,000 points for women, and maybe 11.5 is 1,100 points. So your new world ranking is going to be the average of your top 5 performances if you're a sprinter, or if you're a steeplechaser, your top 3 performances. And it's the average of your IAAF points. Then there's a level of complexity on top of that depending on what the competition is, you might get bonus points. And I think this is a huge opportunity for us coaches in this country to learn what it means and how you can play this system to your advantage. Because if you win the British or Irish Championships, for example, you get 100 points bonus. And what this table shows you is what 100 points bonus means for certain events. So women's 400, 100 point bonus will go from 54 seconds to 51.4, which is ridiculous. Or in the women's 15, it's about 13 seconds. If Summer jumps 188 in a Northern Ireland Open, she'll get 1,101 points. But if she wins the Irish Championships in 188, she'll get the equivalent of a 198, which will be a real bonus for your world ranking. And when qualifications getting tougher, yeah, I know, it's mad. When qualifications getting tougher, you know, at some events you have to be in the top 24, the top 30 in the world to go to the World Championships. That's really, really tough. So we've got to use every advantage that we can. And yeah, the best way to learn about this system is to get on the IAAF World Rankings website and have a look around the world rankings, the Irish rankings, the British rankings, Have a look at, if you're on the Irish rankings, have a look at yourself and see how your points were made up, and see how people higher up those lists. It's the best way to learn it, because it is very confusing. Now, it's different for different events. Most events, it's your average of 5. There's different rules for combined events and marathon and road running, and some events you've got secondary events. It's complex, but just get out and, if you're going to be aiming, or a coach is going to be aiming for these championships, just play about with the website, because it'll become clearer. And I think, for us coaches going forward, this is a vital part of our coaching toolbox. If we can get the advantage on this, I've spoken to coaches of Olympic champions who don't know anything about this yet. So it's our chance to step up and take the advantage and get an advantage for our athletes where we can. The last point really is what Laura's already talked about. The Elite Coach Development Program is a huge opportunity, and for me it's about progressing those athletes even further, and the coach taking responsibility of being able to work in that championship environment, especially as we look towards the one major championships that we can bring coaches to and have some sort of control of, the Commonwealth Games. Birmingham 2022, we want our coaches to be able to work with us effectively, Commonwealth Games Council effectively, any other coaches and athletes and any other outside bodies. So that's a real opportunity, I think, going forward, and I'm really excited. The lineup we've got is fantastic. Okay, so here are the speakers we have for the day. We've got Fuzz kicking off shortly. It's going to be a really interesting topic of coaching communication. And for me, that's something that can either be the difference that really puts the icing on the cake on the day and helps your athlete to a PB, or more often than not, it's a minefield that can cause an athlete to be in from their perfect flow state, ready to do something fantastic. If a coach says the wrong thing, sometimes you can bring them out of that zone and make them overthink things. So I'm really interested to hear Fuzz's view on that, and looking forward to that, especially given his track record at coaching Robbie Grabats to Olympic bronze in 2012, and currently working with British number 1 Morgan Lake, so it should be really exciting. Simon Harland, who was the head physio at the Commonwealth Games, it was fantastic to work with Simon and have him help our team to effectively perform as well it could on the day. Simon's got a huge background, vast experience across multiple sports, and I'll be really interested to hear your perspective on that, as well as some of the key injury prevention ideas, which is something that's really important for us coaches in our sport, where there is high injury rate. Any little fantastic pieces of information on that will be much appreciated by all of us. We'll have Team New Balance coach Steve Vernon and Ciara McGehan's coach. We'll be talking later on about the transition from coach to athlete. I think that's something that interests a lot of us in the room who are either in that transition. I still consider that I am probably in that transition. You try and
coach to athlete or athlete to coach?
Well, I'm running a half marathon tomorrow, so I don't know. Athlete to coach now, absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's taking away that bias in your mind of this is how I was coached, therefore it's the only way. I think the more you learn, the more you realise actually you just need to throw away whatever baggage you had, take good bits and pieces, keep learning, but I think keep learning is the main thing. And looking forward to what Steve has to say on that. Ricky McCann, or Dr. Richard McCann, Ricky as we know him, Sports Institute physiologist, will have some excellent information on physiological testing, and Ciara's going to be helping out with that later on. Ricky's been on some of our preparation camps, and I know Jackie's really appreciated his input on some of those key performance behaviours that endurance athletes can benefit from. So looking forward to that later on. And Jared Deacon, Olympic 400 metre athlete and 400 metre coach with a S&C speciality as well. Really looking forward to having Jared talk 400 metre specifics later on, and hopefully from a point of what it takes to be a 400 metre runner. I think there's a lot of talent in this country that sometimes limit themselves to, oh, I'm just going to be a 100-meter runner, or I'm just going to do this, I'm just going to do this. I think actually sometimes there's some people that have the speed and the endurance ability that could maybe step up to that 400-meter zone and possibly go from being a good national level to being international level or pushing on world class. So looking forward to hearing that later on as well. So there's just a look at our schedule. How are we doing for time? We're a bit over, but we're getting there. Yeah, so we're breaking for lunch. We'll have a short break after Fuzz keynote, just literally a quick toilet break, and then we'll have lunch at 1:30, and then we've got our breakout options later on. So we'll have more information on that as we go on.